So today's video is a subscriber request. I'm going to be comparing Victoria by Latafa to Delicious Bouquet from Afnan. And both of these fragrances are dupes of Devotion by Dolce Gabbana. I also own Devotion Intense, so I'm also going to add in how these compare to this one, which I think is actually pretty interesting. And this was requested by Raiden9677. She asked me to compare both of these two fragrances because she didn't know which one she felt would be better for her to buy. She also added in a second comment that she would like me to also compare Empire Victor. Now, Empire Victor is literally on its way to me. It is in transit. So once that comes in, I'll do a separate video on that one and how it compares to these two. But for today, we're just going to talk about Devotion versus the two dupes of Delicious Bouquet by Afnan and Victoria by Latafa, and throw in a little bit of Devotion Intense. Let's get started. So first, we need to talk about how does the original Devotion fragrance smell. This is a lemony, not overly citrus lemon, but a candied lemon type of scent profile that also has panna cotta, rum, and vanilla. It's gorgeous, a sweet, lemony, Italian cake type of dessert fragrance with moderate projection and longevity. Now, let's jump right into the so-called dupes, right? First up, we have what I would argue is probably the most popular one, Victoria by Latafa. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you just straight off the rip. This one is not for me because while it does smell very similar to Devotion, it does have some differences. This one definitely has more of a lemon focus as opposed to the original Devotion. This has lemon meringue pie, and you really get that lemon meringue pie. It's also a lot powderier. Powderier? You guys, I don't speak English, I swear. But it also has a lot more powder to it than the original Devotion. The original Devotion, you really get the rum and the warmth of the scent profile, the booziness comes out. With Victoria, I don't get much booziness. I get lemon meringue pie and vanilla and put some powder on top. That's Victoria. So not a bad fragrance, but because I initially had Devotion, I kind of went into expecting Victoria to smell just like it, and it doesn't. But there are a lot of people who like Victoria even more than Devotion because they like that extra focus on the lemon and they like the extra powderiness, that almost extra sweetness to the overall scent profile. So if that sounds like you, then this might be right up your alley. Now let's move on to Delicious Bouquet. And this truly is delicious. I think it's a very well done interpretation of the original Devotion. It smells very close to the original because it has that added rum, boozy darkness. But what I like even more about Delicious Bouquet than the original Devotion is that it's stronger, it projects more, it's very good. And that's why I had to bring into the conversation Devotion Intense, because I actually think that this is a little bit closer to the Devotion Intense than it is to Devotion because of how much more prominent the overall scent profile is in Delicious Bouquet. Now, Devotion Intense, I really feel is very similar to the original Devotion in terms of how it smells. The main difference is really just that this has an added hazelnut note in the opening, but once that fades away, you're really left with just a stronger version of Devotion. So this, I really think, is a closer dupe to Devotion Intense than it is to the original Devotion. In terms of performance and longevity, the original Devotion, I would say, is the weakest. It comes out with a punch, but it really starts to fade away after a while, and it's not as rich as some of the others on this list. And then the last three, Delicious Bouquet, Devotion Intense, and Victoria, have very similar performance to me. They're all loud, long-lasting fragrances. I really can't pick up a very stark difference in terms of one lasting a lot longer. I really think that they are on par with each other. So in a nutshell, which fragrance is right for which person? If you want a lemon-focused fragrance that is going to be sweeter, brighter, and a little bit more powderier, and again, focus more on the lemon, then for sure, stick with Victoria from Latafa because that's what it's going to give you. If you like the idea of the dark, rum, boozy type of scent profile, but you don't really want it to be too strong, right? Maybe you like the original regular Eau de Parfum concentration where it's somewhat moderate, then for you, stick with the original Devotion because it's going to give you a moderate performance of that DNA. If you want a beast mode interpretation of the original DNA for the cheapest price point, then for sure, scoop up Delicious Bouquet because that's what it's going to give you. a well-priced, longer-lasting version of the original Devotion. And if you want a beastly take on Devotion, you want to stay in the Dolce Gabbana family, and you like the added hazelnut note in the opening, then get yourself Devotion Intense. Which one would I repurchase if I only had one option? I'm honestly torn between the Delicious Bouquet and the Devotion Intense. I would probably pick Delicious Bouquet because while I like the added hazelnut note, I don't know if it warrants the extra money. And I really think that this performs very, very well. But if money was not a factor, then maybe the Devotion Intense because I like the added hazelnut, but it's not like mandatory for me to have, if that makes sense. So hopefully that was helpful. Again, once I get Empire Victor in, I'll definitely add that in and see how it compares to these other two. Let me know if you guys have tried any of these and what is your favorite dupe or clone of Devotion by Dolce & Gabbana. And I'll see you guys back tomorrow for our next episode.